Dad, I'm coming right now. I received a phone call from my mother saying that my father was critically ill, but I had no way to get there. I was panicking, knowing that my father might pass away at any moment.
You can ride with me. I'll take you there.
Mill offered to help me. Really? Thank you so much. My Mill, who is usually bullying me, was kind to me today for some reason. Aren't she planning something? I felt that her kindness is creepy, but now it's not the time to think about such things.
We've arrived. Please, get out here.
After driving for about 30 minutes, Mill told me to get out, but it was a place where there was no light in the forest. Aren't you taking me to the hospital?
Your father's situation is less important than your discipline.
Wait, please. My dad's in danger. Please, let me back in the car. My desperate wish did not reach to my Mill, then she ignored me and ran away while laughing. It's insane to weigh a person's life against a discipline. I will never forgive my Mill for this. I had a deep hatred for my Mill. 2 years ago, I married John. When I got married, we lived in an apartment, but we wanted to have a home, so we decided to build a house a year after marriage.
Hey, if you're okay with it, how about we build our house next to my parents' place? There's some spare land.
If you have land, you can build a house cheaply, and I'm fine at all. With assistance from Mill, we built a house next to theirs and lived peacefully. In fact, my Mill wanted to live with us, but I refused. My Mill, more so than my Phil, was insistent on us living together. It was too soon after our marriage, and I didn't feel confident about living with her, as we weren't that close. John knew how I felt and managed to persuade her, so we settled on building our house next door.
Would you like to quit your job and do a full-time housewife?
I still want to work. 6 months after moving into our new home, John suggested I quit my job. He seemed to prefer me being a full-time housewife, but I didn't want to stop working.
How about working part-time? I'd like you to be home as much as possible.
Well, part-time could work. So, I started working part-time at a nearby supermarket. It was challenging at first, but as I got used to it, I began to enjoy it and made friends with customers. I hoped to keep working there, but it didn't last long.
Could you come over to my place for a bit?
3 months after I started working part-time, my Mill started calling me more and more. Her requests were mainly about doing household chores. Mill, I have job later.
A job. Then just finish before you go, right?
Although she was supposed to be a full-time housewife, she treated me like a maid or servant. Reluctantly, I rushed through cleaning and laundry to make it to work on time, but she never helped, just relaxing and watching TV. Every day, I'm well aware that my own housework is being neglected because my Mill keeps calling me in the morning. But I find it hard to say no to her requests. One day, after returning home, I was preparing to make dinner. At that time, my Mill called me.
I forgot to buy something for dinner. Could you get them for me?
I was just about to start making dinner.
You can do it later.
Do you really need these things today?
What? Are you talking back to me?
No, I didn't mean it like that.
Then go and buy them now.
If I refuse my Mill's request, I will continue to be criticized later. I had only refused once before, but she said, "It's 100 years too early to refuse what I say. All you have to do is shut up and listen to what I ask." For an hour. Arguing with her is a waste of time. Reluctantly, I decide it's better to just go along with it and buy the groceries. So I bought what she asked for and headed to her house.
You're late.
My MIL goes to the kitchen without saying anything when she receives the ingredients from me. Of course, there is no thank you. After completing the errand, I rushed back home to resume dinner, but by that time, my husband had already returned. I haven't discussed the constant bullying from my MIL with my husband. I'll keep it to myself as long as I can have patience. I don't want my husband to worry about it. A week later, she called me over to her house again. It was my day off, and I had planned to relax at home.
I have a shopping list for you. Please take care of it.
I was called to my MIL, and she gave me a shopping list. Only heavy things in the list. I sighed involuntarily.
What? You have a problem with that?
No, I'll go buy it right away. It's probably her way of getting back at me for opposing living together. When I returned with the items, there were friends of hers in the living room.
Emily, don't just stand there. Say hello.
Nice to meet you. I greeted them as she asked. Then, her friends started laughing. How rude to laugh at someone's face.
See, I told you. She's so clumsy. Can't do anything without me telling her.
Really, sorry, but I couldn't help laughing.
So, she had been bad-mouthing me. I don't deserve to be talked about like this by strangers. Feeling upset, I decided to leave. I'll be going now.
What are you saying? You haven't even served tea and snacks.
Why do I have to do that even though it's not my own home? I served the tea and snacks while they were still enjoying their gossip about me and left as quickly as I could. Thankfully, she didn't call again that day, and I finally had some time to myself at home. A week later,
I'm going on a business trip to the East Coast for a couple of days. Take care of the house, okay?
got it? Please be careful. It was the first time since our marriage that my husband would be away overnight. I was alone for the first time in a while. Today's my day off. What should I do? Just as I was thinking about doing some overdue deep cleaning, the doorbell rang.
I came to play.
It was my MIL on the intercom. I was thinking of cleaning up. Reluctantly, I let her in.
What's with this place? It's dirty. Aren't you even cleaning?
I've been so busy lately, I haven't had much time.
That's a poor excuse. I'll watch, so get cleaning.
Originally, I don't have time because of you. After about 2 hours of cleaning, I finally had the house looking decent. Then I asked her what brought her over. By the way, what brings you here today?
Oh, nothing specific. I heard your husband will be home late, so I thought I'd spend the evening here. And of course, I'll be having dinner here too.
Spending my rare day off and alone time with my MIL was the bad thing for me. I felt depressed, but it would be helpful not to do the housework of her home, so I spent that day with her. As evening approached, I expected her to say going home. My mother called me.
Hello, Dad's critically ill. Please come quickly.
What? Okay, I'll be right there. My father, who had been battling lung cancer, was worsening and he is likely to die. I said I would go right away, but my husband used the car and left, and it was already midnight, so I couldn't use public transportation during the night. What should I do?
What happened?
My dad's critically ill, but I don't have a way to get there.
Sigh, I'll drive you.
Despite her usual attitude, she sighed and offered to drive me to the hospital. Thank you very much. I gratefully accepted her offer, despite her usual antagonism. After a 30 minutes drive into the forest, she suddenly told me to get out.
We've arrived. Please, get out here.
What? Aren't you taking me to the hospital?
Your father's situation is less important than your discipline.
Wait, please. Take me to the hospital? My desperate wish did not reach to my mill. Then she ignored me and ran away while laughing. I was left in the forest and tried to call a taxi immediately, but then I realized that I had forgotten my bag in the car. I had my phone, so I tried calling her to come back. Please, answer. But she didn't notice her phone while driving. I thought, if I miss my father's final moments because of this, I'll curse her forever. But without my wallet, I couldn't call a taxi. Even if I called my husband, he was too far to come quickly. I felt utterly helpless. Should I walk to the hospital? But checking the map on my phone, I realized I was too far to walk. Am I going to miss my father's last moments? I slumped down, overwhelmed. About an hour passed. Then my Phil called me.
Hello, Emily. Where are you?
Why? What happened?
I heard from my wife. I am so sorry for what she did. I'm coming to get you right now. Can you send me your location?
Apparently, my Phil had learned about my situation after returning home. 30 minutes later, he arrived to pick me up.
I'm really sorry about your father. Let's get to the hospital quickly.
He apologized immediately upon seeing me and sped to the hospital where my father was. As soon as we arrived, I rushed to my father's room. Dad, are you okay? I cried out, seeing my father lying there. My mom said everything was all right.
Somehow, he overcame the pain and is now stable.
His father seemed to have survived his life, and his doctor told that he would not be careful, but would calm down if nothing was done. Oh, thank goodness. I was released from tension at once, and my feet were inadequate, so I squatted down. What if he had passed away? At that time, if my father-in-law did not come to pick me up, it was a place where I could not see my father's death. Phil, thank you so much.
No. I'm just glad your dad's alive.
I stayed at the hospital to watch over my dad. When I told my husband that I wouldn't be going home today because my father was with me, he said, well, that must have been tough. I'm planning to go home tomorrow. The next morning, with my dad's condition stable, I returned home.
Welcome back. How's your dad?
He's okay now. What about your business trip?
How could I focus on work knowing my Phil was in such a condition? I told my boss and he let me come back early.
My husband had cut his trip short, worried about me. I felt so sorry for causing him worry because of my dad. At that time, the doorbell rang. I saw my Phil and MIL on the monitor.
Sorry to drop by like this. Can we talk for a bit? May we come in?
Yes, please come in. I wondered what my Phil wanted to talk about. I invited them in.
I'm really sorry yesterday.
As soon as he stepped into the living room, my Phil knelt down and apologized. What happened suddenly? Please raise your head.
Even though your dad is okay, what my wife did yesterday is unforgivable. I'm so sorry.
He kept apologizing, while my MIL didn't move an inch. The apology should be coming from her, not him. Well, I thought that about MIL, my husband, who had no understanding of the situation, cuts in.
What's going on? Dad suddenly apologized. Mom did something right. Emily, what happened?
Yesterday, I got a phone call that my dad was dangerous, but there was no car, and if I was impatient, my mother would put me on it.
Why, he should apologize for that. That's not bad.
Yeah, until she left me on a mountain road after driving for a while. My husband seemed to have never believed what I said.
Really? Did she do that? Mom, what's this about?
Yes, it's true.
My MIL confirmed my story without any remorse.
Why would you do that? Emily's dad was critically ill.
Well, discipline to Emily is more important than her father's illness.
It's unbelievable how she equates discipline with life. What's more, what is the intention of discipline? My emotions, which I had been holding back until then, exploded all at once. MIL has been telling me to discipline since yesterday, but what exactly does that mean? Is harassment really discipline? Every day, she calls me in and makes me do everything from housework to shopping, but I don't do anything myself. Do you feel like I'm a princess, right?
How dare you speak to me like that? Remember when my friends came over? They complained about you too.
Complained? What did I do to them?
They said your attitude was arrogant. You might not have done anything, but they all thought you seemed arrogant.
And what does that have to do with leaving me in the forest yesterday?
Just talking back like that, so arrogant. Everyone said I should discipline you, so I thought leaving you in the forest was the right thing.
You're being so bossy. Yesterday, when you said you'd drop me off, I was an idiot for thinking that you were actually a kind person. I finally let out all the frustration I'd been holding back from my MIL's bullying. My husband and Phil, unaware of what I'd been enduring, looked shocked.
What? She's been making you do all that?
Yes, she did that every day, even when I had to work part-time. My words had left my husband and Phil furious with my MIL.
Why don't you do your home? You're a full-time housewife. And why you let Emily do your housework?
Yay, Mom. Emily is not your servant. You should do at least some things by yourself.
She ignored everything what my Phil and husband were saying. She showed no signs of remorse. My Phil said to MIL, I never thought you were that kind of person. You always tell me that I am great at doing housework, right? But in reality, you were bullying Emily. And about yesterday, I can't forgive that. Let's get a divorce. He declared it outright. Everyone was shocked by his sudden mention of divorce, especially my MIL.
What? Divorce? Why are you saying this all of a sudden?
I see no remorse in you, and I can't live with you anymore.
But how will I live without you?
You can work somewhere. You'll survive.
Okay. I'll apologize to Emily and her parents. Just forgive me.
The mother-in-law has changed from a bullish attitude. She was visibly shaken and begged for forgiveness.
Emily, I'm truly sorry for everything. I won't do it again. Please forgive me.
I don't need your apologies. I have no intention of getting along with you. You say you won't do it again, but how can I believe that?
Well, no, that's...
How can I trust you after all you've done? I said coldly, and my MIL had no response. Then my Phil spoke.
As Emily said, I don't believe you'll change. So, let's go through with the divorce.
This statement seemed to drain all energy from my MIL, and she slumped in defeat. I felt no pity for her. She deserves it. As my Phil prepared to leave with my MIL, "Oh, I have something to say to you." I stopped her. Please, never come to this house again. I will never forgive you, I said with a smile, and she looked devastated. She realized she might not see her son as often anymore. Well, there is a way to meet as much as she wants to meet because she is next to my house. After they left, I relaxed in the living room, feeling liberated. No more unnecessary calls from my MIL. It was her punishment for exploiting me. She takes people for a fool. Even so, my MIL's face was a funny when my Phil said divorce. I couldn't help but smirk. 3 days later, my Phil came over.
After talking with my wife, I just couldn't forgive her actions. We've decided to divorce.
My Phil came to tell my husband and me that he was going to divorce my MIL. My husband was surprised but said, "If that's what you've decided, Dad, I won't object."
Emily, I was really sorry.
And what will MIL do now?
I don't know her exact plans, but she's moving out of our house.
That's tough. But, Phil, if you ever feel lonely, feel free to visit us.
That's really helpful for me. I'll come to play again.
He left with those words. Now, I wouldn't have to deal with daily errands from my MIL. Just to be safe, I blocked her number. Finally, peace returned to my life. Thanks to my Phil, I made it to visit my dad's hospital. I don't care about my MIL anymore, but I wish my Phil well. A year later, my husband and I had a healthy baby boy. My Phil adores his grandson and visits often to play with him. I hope my son grows up to be as kind and understanding as his grandfather.